Reviews.org has this handy website where you can look up mobile and home internet in your area. When it comes to home broadband, do you have real competition? For many people in the United States, it's likely you have one main provider. Maybe you have two, with one cable solution and one much slower DSL option. The only thing that seems to improve service in an area is competition. So if major providers don't want to offer competing services to less profitable regions, is municipal broadband the way to go? Whether your broadband is powered by a public or private solution, you're not going to want to miss the content here from the Reviews.org team. So make sure you've smashed all those subscription options down below this video. Broadband has been an increasingly popular topic of late, where we've recently covered the emergency broadband subsidies on this channel, competition from satellite providers, how to get students better connected, and whether we should redefine the qualifying speeds for calling something high-speed internet. An interesting update to this conversation happening out on the West Coast. Are we about to see more competition from municipal broadband as a way to get more people connected? In my home state, California Governor Gary Newsom is looking to invest $7 billion into broadband over the next 3 years. The plan for California is to invest in more fiber deployment as a middle-mile solution to reduce the upfront infrastructure costs for any players wanting to offer service. That might be a major player, but Comcast, Verizon, Spectrum, competing against other large providers, against each other. But more likely, these types of initiatives hope to entice smaller players, co-ops, nonprofits, and municipalities looking to supply their own service to local residents. If a major player in the telecom space doesn't consider your neighborhood profitable enough to supply or improve service, then you're likely not going to get any attention from that ISP until another competing service moves in. Unless you have $10,000 lying around to buy your own ad in the Wall Street Journal to shame AT&T for not running fiber to your block, where fiber is pretty close to your block, and you can find a way to make that ad go viral on late night talk shows, and even then, that might only work for your house, and none of your neighbors might benefit from your lobbying efforts. But I digress. Governor Newsom is hoping to close the digital divide over these next 3 years, where a significant portion of the population lives in more rural areas with little or no access to true high-speed broadband. Mind you, the current definition of broadband is likely out of date for modern needs. Which brings us to Washington State, where Governor Jay Inslee recently signed Bill HB 1336, the Public Broadband Act, removing all barriers to public broadband in the state. Washington was recently one of the states with local laws that expressly forbade the creation of public or municipal networks. Now, public entities and towns with fewer than 1,500 residents will be allowed to offer retail communication services. At the same time, the state has set aside over $400 million for local broadband infrastructure. In many counties, especially with more rural populations, the plans sound similar to California's, investing in middle infrastructure and creating a more open playing field where established ISPs, new players, and local citizenry can access that infrastructure to serve local residents. With this public investment, we should also see more oversight. If public funds are being invested, then private companies not meeting the county's standards for speed and reliability can lose their license to serve customers in that area. Washington leaves a list which included 17 other states with laws explicitly blocking public broadband, and 5 other states that have laws or other roadblocks that make municipal networks much more difficult to set up and operate. Starting in 2021, that was 23 states. Arkansas passed a bill to remove restrictions this February. Washington followed. Idaho and Tennessee state governments have proposed similar bills to remove restrictions, while an effort in Montana recently failed. The Tennessee bill should be really interesting to watch, as Chattanooga, Tennessee is home to one of the most successful experiments in publicly funded broadband, and regularly tops lists in this country for the fastest and most reliable home fiber speeds, at fantastically competitive prices. To celebrate the success of Chattanooga's network, the state of Tennessee barred any further deployment of public broadband in the state. I guess it was just too good. Couldn't help that last joke. It's getting increasingly difficult to ignore the competitive option of public broadband, especially considering how much investment we see from public funds, from tax dollars. And at the same time, we see large players often operating as de facto local monopolies, continuing to increase subscriber costs and turning on data caps. If corporations aren't interested in competing for your hard-earned cash, has there been any traction in public or co-op broadband in your area? Will we finally realize that dream of fiber to home, which we've been subsidizing for a couple decades now, but few in this country are able to enjoy? And is there another free market solution we might be overlooking? Drop us some comments down below. This is shaping up to be a really interesting chat for a service which has become critical to our daily lives. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, and subscribing to the channel. For Reviews.org, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, and I'll catch you all on the next video.